It's getting late, and the three of us are heading back after attending a wedding ceremony of a colleague from work. The three of us, Rathen, Sushovan, and I, are close friends, but we often have different opinions on many subjects. Whenever we get together, discussions quickly turn into heated debates, especially between Rathen and Sushovan. Rathen is a staunch atheist who insists on rationalizing every aspect of life, while Sushovan is deeply pious and holds strong religious beliefs. As we settled into an empty train compartment, a rare occurrence, Sushovan exclaimed, "This is luck, right, Rathen?" And that's how the debate on good luck, bad luck, and astrology began. Rathen immediately dismissed everything related to astrology as nonsense, calling it superstition, while Sushovan defended it with various examples of predictions from different cultures and times. Rathen countered with sharp, logical arguments, and I found myself trying to support both sides, nodding along with each of them. In today's debate, Rathen seemed to be winning. He argued that no one has ever accurately predicted the future, claiming that everything that appears to match is just a loose assumption cleverly wrapped up to fit any outcome. He said, "People who believe in astrologers are impressed by these vague rules that can explain anything." Just then, a man spoke up from the other side of the compartment, catching us all by surprise. We turned to see an elderly man covered in a gray-black sheet with a white beard. His age was indeterminate, but he seemed quite old. He carried a dirty bag, and at first glance, it wasn't unreasonable to think he might be a vagabond or even crazy. The man approached us, and Rathen, intrigued yet skeptical, asked if he believed the future could be predicted. The man quoted Shakespeare, hinting at the mysterious nature of the universe, and claimed he had something in his bag that might change Rathen's mind. Sushovan, excited by the possibility, asked if the man was an astrologer. The man replied that he was just an ordinary person who had learned something extraordinary by the grace of his guru. Rathen sarcastically suggested that the man might pull out a skull to predict the future. The man clarified that he could draw the future, specifically sketching a person's portrait at any future age. This was a novel concept that piqued our curiosity despite our skepticism. The man took out a drawing pad and pencil, saying he could draw Sushovan's future self. Sushovan specified a date, and the man began drawing with his eyes closed. Within a minute, he produced a detailed picture of an old man with a bald head, wrinkles like a spider's web, and thick glasses. We were amazed by the man's drawing skills but doubted its accuracy since there was no way to verify it immediately. Sushovan, however, insisted that the portrait would match % because he resembled his late grandfather, whose old age photos bore a striking resemblance to him. Rathen, still skeptical, suggested I try next. Hesitantly, I wrote down the same date on the pad. The man attempted to draw but couldn't produce anything for me. Rathen speculated that this meant I wouldn't live to that age, which was a chilling thought. To test the man further, Rathen wrote down the current date and time, asking the man to draw his portrait as it would appear minutes into the future. The man made an attempt but couldn't draw anything for Rathen either. This frightened us and made Rathen furious. He accused the man of being a fraud and trying to deceive us with false claims. As Rathen moved aggressively towards him, the train shook violently, and the lights went out. In the ensuing chaos, Rathen stumbled on an iron rod that was sticking up from the floor and fell out of the train. When the lights came back, both Rathen and the mysterious man were gone. The train sped on, and I looked at my watch. It was PM. Sushovan and I were left in shock, unable to comprehend what had just happened. We sat in silence, the eerie atmosphere of the train compartment pressing down on us. The cold wind from the open door where Rathen had fallen out chilled us to the bone. The train continued to cross the bridge, the rhythmic clattering of the wheels on the tracks the only sound breaking the silence. "Do you think he's really gone?" Sushovan whispered, his voice trembling. I didn't know how to respond. The events of the last few minutes felt surreal, almost like a bad dream. We couldn't see any sign of Rathen or the mysterious man outside the train. The darkness swallowed everything beyond the dim lights of the compartment. "We have to find him," I finally said, my voice steadier than I felt. "As soon as the train stops, we need to get help and go back to look for him." Sushovan nodded, his face pale and drawn. The train continued to speed through the night, the landscape outside a blur of shadows. The minutes dragged on, each one feeling like an eternity. Finally, the train began to slow as it approached the next station. As soon as it came to a stop, we rushed out, looking for anyone who could help. We found a station master and breathlessly explained what had happened. He immediately called for assistance, and within minutes, a search party was organized to go back and search along the tracks. The wait was agonizing. We could do nothing but hope that Rathen was somehow safe. As the hours passed, the reality of the situation began to sink in. The mysterious man, the drawing that never appeared, Rathen's fall. It all felt like a sequence of events orchestrated by some unseen hand. Finally, just before dawn, the search party returned. They had found Rathen. He was injured but alive, lying unconscious near the tracks a few miles back. There was no sign of the mysterious man. Rathen was taken to the hospital, and we followed, relieved but still shaken by the night's events. At the hospital, as Rathen lay in bed recovering, I couldn't help but think about the man's claim that he could draw the future. Whether it was true or not, the events of that night had left a mark on us all. We would never forget the eerie encounter on the train, and the chilling prediction, or lack thereof, that had led to Rathen's fall. The next day, as we sat by Rathen's bedside, Sushovan turned to me. "Do you think he really could see the future?" he asked softly. I shook my head, unsure. "I don't know," I replied. "But I think we've seen enough to make us question a lot of things we thought we knew." As Rathen slowly regained consciousness, he looked at us with a weak smile. "Did we prove him wrong?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Sushovan and I exchanged a glance. "I'm not sure," I said. "But I think we all learned something last night." And with that, we fell into a contemplative silence, each of us lost in our own thoughts about fate, luck, and the mysteries of the future.